The Chiefs versus the Lions might be about as classic a something has to give matchup as you're going to get, and we're going to get into a little bit of why, but where we're going to focus with this video is the wide receivers for the Kansas City Chiefs versus the defensive backs for the Detroit Lions. And when you start looking at this, it becomes one of these situations where you think, okay, well, this could be a real slobber knocker for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs could come out and absolutely dominate this thing. But I'm going to tell you why there should be some caution here, and I don't mean just the caution that you throw to the wind. Now, we're going to start with the man versus coverage rates for the Detroit Lions. They play man coverage 1/3 of the time. They play zone coverage 2/3 of the time. And we're going to get into a very good reason as to why that is a great decision for these Detroit Lions. Because especially right now, and I say especially right now, what do I mean by especially right now? Well, this is the ESPN depth chart for the Detroit Lions. And you have left cornerback, strong safety, and free safety, all questionable starters for the Lions. Rock Ya-Sin and Amik Robertson, good to go. We're going to look in this video at all of the defensive backs that are fully healthy. Why ignore the guys who are Terrion Arnold is out, but why ignore the guys who are questionable? Because if you're questionable, you're going to have some type of limitation. If you're questionable, you're going to probably be kept off of the field in certain situations. So we're going to be looking at the players that the Kansas City Chiefs will be identifying when they're on the field and saying, look, this guy is this guy is that. So we're going to be looking at the players that are 100% ready to go for the Detroit Lions, which means Rock Ya-Sin, their right cornerback, Amik Robertson, their nickelback, Thomas Harper, the backup strong safety, and Lauren Strickland, the backup free safety. It is disappointing. I did not know Enos Rakestraw Jr. was on the IR for the Lions. That is upsetting. I really, really like him. But, so when we're looking at this, everybody is injured for the Lions secondary. Absolutely rough place to be in. You have... where are we at here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players from the Lions secondary on injured reserve. Not just injured, not just out, on injured reserve. So, here's Rock Ya-Sin. 5'11", 192, 4.51 40-yard dash. All those numbers very decent. Arm length, 32 inches. That is a plus arm length for a defensive back. 39-inch vertical is a good number. 10-foot broad jump, not the greatest. Here's where he struggles. It is change of direction. His 20-yard short shuttle, a 3.53 out of 10 score. His three-cone drill, a 1.15 out of 10 score. That's not great for a defensive back. Okay, so that's going to be part of why they play zone coverage so often. When you're playing zone coverage, you're not manned up on somebody. You don't have to be step for step with them. Amik Robinson here. Here is his RAS score. Do you notice anything that stands out? Well, he didn't do anything. Why would a guy not do anything? If not for the fact that probably he would not perform particularly well. And what he did do, we do have some outcomes for it. 5'8". That scores 0.49 out of 10. He is a short cornerback. 187 pounds. That scores 4.27 out of 10, giving him a very poor size score. Also has 30 and a quarter inch arms. Not long arms. That means can't get in there and break the pass up. Okay, so those are their two starters that are healthy. What about Lauren Strickland? 5'9", 199, so not great size. Then he has a 4.56 40-yard dash. He has a 38-inch vertical, 10-foot 5-inch broad jump. Good numbers for a safety. But that 4.56, okay, now we're going to get to the fastest, fully healthy defensive back that the Lions have. Thomas Harper, 5'10", 189, with a 4.49 40-yard dash. Now, he's a very explosive athlete. 42-inch vertical, 10-foot 6-inch broad jump. 42-inch vertical, exceedingly rare in the NFL. Anything over 40, exceedingly rare in the NFL. But what we have here is another guy who struggles with change of direction. So you have their fastest and most explosive defensive back, strong safety, with a 4.49 40-yard dash. So 4.49 is their fastest guy. You have a 4.56. You have a guy who refused to run the 40, probably tells you something, and a guy who ran a 4.51. What we're looking at here is a group of defensive backs for the Lions that are all sub 6 foot and all 4.49 or slower. So that is going to pose a problem versus a couple players in particular for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, Marquise Brown is going to be difficult to cover if you don't run a 4.4. But he's not the biggest guy in the world. Xavier Worthy is going to be difficult to cover if you don't run a 4.3. And no, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's tall enough and he has very good change of direction skills. Then we have Tyquan Thornton, who is 6'3", and runs a very fast 40-yard dash. The speed merchants for the Kansas City Chiefs, Hollywood Brown, Tyquan Thornton, Xavier Worthy, you would think, okay, well, they're all going to eat in this game. Patrick Mahomes might throw for 600 yards, and the Kansas City Chiefs will be on the bench by halftime. That's not going to happen. The Lions are an overall very good team. But here's what is going to be very difficult, in my opinion, in this game. The Lions play hard. The Lions are well coached. The Lions are coached to be tough. The Lions are coached to be resilient. Where this goes, in my opinion, is that knowing that they are injured, there is going to be something in the game plan that is out of left field. Why? Because you have to roll the dice if you're the Lions here. You can't sit back and say, all right, well, Patrick Mahomes and the fastest wide receiver core in the league, we'll see how this goes when all of your defensive backs are sub 6 foot and run 4.49 or slower. So, where we have seen the Chiefs struggle very often, especially on the offensive side of the ball, is with things that are out of left field, with things that are not in the textbook. And I think that is exactly what we are going to get from Dan Campbell in this game, whether that is different defensive line alignments, meaning to throw the Chiefs' offensive line off so that Patrick Mahomes doesn't get time, or whether this is going to be a whole lot of disguised coverages disguised in unique and innovative ways so that Patrick Mahomes cannot get comfortable in his reads. Maybe it's both. Guys, they would learn an entire new textbook in Detroit, an entire new playbook, in Detroit in a single week if it meant doing well for their coach. They really seem to love that guy. So it might be that we see something completely off the wall here. But with the Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers, what are we looking at? The Lions play man a third of the time, remember? Well, the only player the Kansas City Chiefs have that really destroys man coverage is Tyquan Thornton. 49 routes, 7 receptions, 112 yards. Xavier Worthy is going to get there. 25 routes, 2 receptions, 41 yards there. He's going to get there as the season comes on, as he runs more routes versus man coverage. But he's not there yet. They run 2/3 of the time zone defense. Well, luckily, the Kansas City Chiefs have 4 guys who really really approach doing very well against zone defense. Juju, that's basically the only thing he does anymore. He's not getting open versus man. But versus zone, 13 receptions on 97 routes with 150 yards. Marquise Brown, 18 receptions on 101 routes, 198 yards. Tyquan Thornton, who started the season very poor in this category, has started to come around. Why? Well, he doesn't just have to beat the guy off the line in zone coverage. But once you exploit the hole in a zone coverage, you're gone. And that is what Tyquan Thornton has figured out and been able to execute. And then we have Xavier Worthy here, 9 receptions on 43 routes, 84 yards. So when you pair the fact that the Lions run mostly zone coverage, the Chiefs have mostly zone beater wide receivers. Then you take into account that all of the Lions all of the Lions healthy defensive backs run a 4.49 or slower, and the Chiefs have Marquise Brown, Tyquan Thornton, and Xavier Worthy, not to mention Jalen Royals, who runs a very respectable 4.40. It becomes very difficult to contemplate that the Lions are not going to try something very, very, very out of left field. So, this could be a very big game for Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers, or it could be a very bad game. Now, it's not why you come here. You don't come here for, oh, maybe something will happen. Here's what I think ends up happening. Xavier Worthy in this game has every tool that with which these defensive backs for the Lions struggle. He is tall enough, right? He is the fastest, and he has extremely good change of direction ability. I think Xavier Worthy on the 15-yard out routes, on the 20-yard slant, or the 20-yard slants, that's a post, on the 20-yard hitch routes, this is going to be a game where Xavier Worthy is putting a lot of defensive backs on their butts before the ball is even thrown. Should that be the case, the Kansas City Chiefs could have a very big day against the Detroit Lions. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.